Thank you for coming this week to the Hear Our Voices podcast. So, as you know, we have a raffle going on. So, we'll be picking the winners at the end of the month, and you'll be hearing about it by this time you hear this episode. It would have been already announced on Monday. We're gonna have a Spanish one coming out. So, if you know people who can speak Spanish and want to be a part of the raffle, they definitely could do that. So, let me get some house cleaning in the way. If you want to be a part of the podcast and you are a person who's formerly homeless, street homeless, couch surfing, in shelter, housing insecure, right? Kind of thing, and lose housing from that way, we would love to have you on the podcast. We would love to hear your story. If you're a person with resources for people in the shelter, we'd love to hear your story also. So check us out. Follow us on all social media. And by now you'll have all the, information that you'll need for the raffle. Hope you join in. Hope you tell your people about it. And thank you. And I hope you're enjoying the podcast. Listen on. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, it really is. But do you think it's going to get better? Or do you think the numbers are going to slow down? Because I've heard so far that they're not going to probably slow down for now. But do you think it's going to get worse before it gets better?
I think it might get worse before it gets better. That's my thought. And I don't know what that means exactly, but I don't think that the southern states are going to stop busing people. So, just by that, it's like it's not going to get better. And we also still don't have like enough funding or resources to accommodate more people. And then, like we were saying, for the ongoing term that's going to be required. So I just think that it's like presenting a lot of like challenges that no one really wants to solve. No one wants to commit to solving in the sense of like actually providing resources and money. I mean, New York City just sent buses to towns in upstate New York. Um, and we're paying for like the 4 months, not we're, but the city's paying for 4 months. But then what happens after 4 months?
Right.
You know, like,
What do you do? They would have
yeah.
sent them to New Jersey too, apparently, to I think Orange County. So there's another
Ah,
possibility also.
yeah. Which is like, I do think it's it is the right thing to like, we all have to play a role in this, but like, it's not sustainable. And then imagine for the people what that feels like. No one wants me. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like, I came here to seek asylum. You say you're like whatever, but then I'm here and literally no one wants me, and I
That's
can't
like
do.
a foster child though, like going house to house. Their parents are not taking care of them properly. They're going here to here, and it's like everywhere I go, I get beat up, and nobody cares about me enough to keep me safe and keep me
Hmm.
clean and keep me okay. And it's heartbreaking, honestly.
Yeah, it is really devastating. And all the while, yeah, we're not really looking at, I mean, I shouldn't say we're not really looking at, but like people are leaving for a reason. So like why, stop the people from coming? Like what can be done? And a lot of this is over oil and resources in their countries, right? Like they don't have opportunity to have livable wages or like, sustaining wages. So it's like, um, but I read an article like a lot of people are coming from Venezuela, and that one I know specifically is like over oil. And it was talking about like the differences. Like everywhere you go, they have like major class differences, but there are people literally with like Lamborghinis at like these brand new upscale shopping malls, and then here we are in New York City seeing, like I said, children without shoes.
Right.
How is that? And that's true of here
Right.
too, right? But like it doesn't seem I don't know, it just doesn't seem right.
So I know we talked before we started the podcast. We talked about the mayor. Yes, I'm gonna say it's yesterday or the day before. Honestly, ever since 2020, my brain has been scrambled with time. But he talked about, if you don't know, we're right to shelter state. So, well, I should say city. I feel like the whole state is not like that, but I could be wrong. But that's what they say. Um, how do you feel, and what do you know about what's gonna happen with that? If it's really, because somebody said he's not allowed to do that. I'm not sure what he's allowed and not allowed to do. I'm not really a political person, but what do you think is gonna happen, or really is that gonna happen? Like he said it, is it really gonna come into a fruition?
Yeah, I don't really know the legal landscape of that either. Like because we are a right to shelter, I don't know if he can just do that, but I do know that they're trying to find workarounds. Like we have the Hercs now, the humanitarian, whatever. Those are
Right.
run by New York City Health and Hospital, so it's not run by DHS. So therefore, they're not bound by the same, regulations, whatever. So I don't know if he's saying that the right to shelter, specifically for folks, like if someone comes to apply for shelter and as they're doing their housing history, they say they came from wherever. I don't know if that's like a trigger because they're not really homeless. You know what I mean? In the sense like,
Right.
oh, you were evicted from your apartment in Queens. So I don't know how they're kind of, one, I don't, like you, I don't know like legally kind of what that would look like for him to just blanket say whatever he said about it.
Right.
And two, I don't know if it's that they're saying that, but really just looking for kind of like a workaround through qualifying for the right to shelter.
Let's yeah. Let's be clear. This man has been asking for money for months
Yeah,
because he's literally screaming out without screaming, "We need help."
that's
So
true.
get that out there. Like I feel like people put everything on him. I'm not saying he's right or wrong for anything that he does. I'm just
It's true.
saying he's been publicly, not behind our backs. He's been putting this out in the media. We need more money, and
It's
then we do
true.
cuts. We did cuts recently, but he's been saying we need more money, so we have to do cuts. It's like he's screaming at you. It's like a toddler screaming, "I want food," and you're not feeding the toddler food. And when the
Mm-hmm.
toddler dies, like, well, I guess I should have gave him food. Well, by that time it's too late. You need to feed the child. So
Mm-hmm.
we've been screaming that we need money for a while, and New York is obviously bleeding in a hospital, and nobody's helping us. That's what it seems like
Mm-hmm.
anyway. We're in the urgent care, not urgent care. We're in the ER right now, and it's just like we're bleeding profusely, and no doctor, no nurse, nobody cares. Not even the janitors. Janitors look like, I guess hopefully they help you soon, and just passing us by, and we're begging for help. We're bleeding out, we're screaming, and nobody's doing it, and it's kind of sad. Um,
Yeah.
but what I understand, I was in a meeting yesterday, that like how they have, I know some DV shelters have people living together,
Mm.
but what they're saying is that for families, I don't think it pertains to everybody because mostly everybody is like congregate shelters anyway. Usually
Mm-hmm.
families have separate spaces.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently a gym was opened up last week, and I don't know. I don't want to go back to those kind of days, but apparently we don't have enough space that they have to open up like big areas like that, and families have just have to stay on cots and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of scary. I know they were doing that with like adults. I want to say male at first,
Mm-hmm.
but it looked like they have to be open up to everybody. People in a shelter usually when you go to through Path, you have because they have other private shelters where have like you share a kitchen in some places, but you still have your
Mm-hmm.
own bathroom, your own room. But the shelters, I've been in 4 shelters in New York City from on Path, and usually have your own room. You have a kitchen or a kitchenette. So usually you always have a sink in your bathroom, and then you have a microwave and you have a refrigerator. That's like
Mm-hmm.
without the everything. And then in other places you have a stove or a hot plate, and you have like a little kitchen, like regular sink, and then you have your own bathroom. They're saying because it's overpopulated and they did enough with the hotels and stuff like that that they can't do that anymore. They can't even afford to do it like that because doing it individualized like that is a lot of money. So if you honestly do it as a group setting, which is not the greatest or the safest, it's a little bit cheaper to honestly do it that way. Do I want it
Mm-hmm.
that way? No. But as I said before, we were bleeding for the money, and we're asking for the money, and the money.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't give him money here and there, but it's not enough to sustain the amount of people that's actually coming in. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the problem. Like, if you get 1 billion here and 65,000 is coming in a year, that's still not going to be enough because
Mm-hmm.
every one person has a lot of needs. God forbid one of the kids has special needs. They're gonna need
Mm-hmm.
even extra help. That's not just a regular. I'm not saying they're not regular people, but they need more help than an average person would need because they
Mm-hmm.
might need speech. They might need to know how to walk. God forbid somebody get hurt and they paralyzed, so they need that's a wheelchair. Like I'm thinking about all these scenarios that one person can go through. Because some people don't arrive in the world out of the parents' womb sick, and all of a sudden when they get older they're sick from something else. So it's a lot of
Yeah, I had
unknowns.
yeah. I had heard about that too. The communal settings for families. I don't know where it is, but I also know that the city is kind of like quietly opening things, which is like fine. But they have to because you're right. They've been saying this forever, and he's been asking for money for a long time. He's been open about it. And
Right.
it is unfair that he's been kind of like unanswered and just left to do it. Cause like, yeah, what are you gonna do? Like you have all these people, what are you gonna do? And so I don't know what that means. I don't know exactly. I mean, you probably know more than I do what it means, which is you're much more connected to the family side than I am at this point. And I just don't know, yeah, if they're trying to have workarounds for people coming from the southern border to be in those those places or not. And the other thing that you were just talking about, I'm losing my train of thought on it. But the other thing I'm thinking of is like, he's a Black mayor. So like, is that also, playing a role in
Right.
his, people pretending
That's
not to hear
different.
him? Mhm.
Based on who you are. But I feel like people, it's better said than done. People should look at the color of who the mayor is. Because honestly,
Mhm.
he's one person out of a whole organization of people. And New York itself is a melting pot of people. And people, I think, look at him like, oh, the mayor is, and even the president, they
Mhm.
are just a top. People under them are actually doing, I'm not saying they're not doing work.
Right.
They do the signing off.
Yes.
Like they're not like even the principal of the country. Like
Yeah.
they really do a minimum amount. And there's so much things working parts under them. There's no way they could possibly understand in every meeting to know every single thing was going on. They know
Mhm.
snippets of everything was going on, but not
Mhm.
enough. And they hire people to do the stuff they need to delegate for. So
Mhm.
people, I think, again, I'm not on his side. I'm not on the side. The point is that he has people working, and I know they're working because I talk to some people in city halls. So I
Mm.
know that things are happening, but it's so much parts working together to make the
Mhm.
problem greater and greater and greater. And there's so much
Mhm.
people is an overload of it. There's a computer who has been never been shut off, and you keep on working it and working it. Eventually, it's gonna die.
Mhm. Mhm.
Eventually, time is gonna run out. Eventually,
Mhm.
Barry's gonna give up and say, "No, I can't do this anymore." It's like a
Mhm.
person who never gets sleep. If you don't go to
Mhm.
sleep for a certain amount of time, like if you go days and days, your body's gonna crash. You're gonna start going
Mhm.
insane. New York is
Mhm.
going insane. Like literally, New York is falling apart and saying, "I need a rest. I need a break," and we're screaming. He's
Yeah.
he has done conferences. Like it's not like he just didn't try. He did like I just people don't get it. He's coming on the news and talking about the problem that we have, and it's like let's lay it on deaf ear. And then other
Yeah.
people want to criticize, say he's not doing anything, but he's saying it out loud, not only behind our backs. He probably say that behind our backs, I would assume too, but he's saying it and there's nothing happening.
Right.
So do you blame him or do you blame the people he's supposed to be talking to and they're not doing anything about it?
Right. Right. And then, yeah, for sure. And then you have like at the same time, like specifically within New York, there's so much about like all this vacant office space and like lost revenue. And it's like, wait a minute, like, are we living in the same, I get that that's like a money problem for you person who has like $1 billion, but like, how are you using your power to support the city where you are in this? It's like they're not turning to it.
Maybe they should honestly, if a place has been vacant over 6 months, not even 3 months, 3 months is kind of being like kind of pushy because rent is high. If you want to buy a building, it costs money. If it's not being used for 6 months, can we turn that into a shelter? Or can we make it into apartments for people who've been there in the shelter for more than 2 years to move out? Whether there's, I don't care. I think people always think like there's always a word between the shelter. To me, I don't care if it's a single person coming out, a youth coming out, or a family coming out. People just need to get their behinds out the shelter. So I don't care if you want to build 100 small areas, studios for youth to even get out on their feet to make. I don't care what you do it. People just need to get out of shelter so when people come in, they have room for them. If you say
Right.
I don't want to give space for the new people coming in, okay, new houses or whatever. The people who are in New York who are in the shelters for years, they can get out. Give them space to go to.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the other thing when I was losing my train of thought, was it feels related to that, where we don't have like capacity limits, right? And like there's no, like when the shelter system is getting to be whatever and we know more people need it, we just build more shelters rather than figuring out how to move people out of shelter, right? And a part of me thinks like, are we creating this crisis? Like there's, you know what I mean? And it is all
We're
related.
fueling it.
Yeah, we are fueling it because it is all related to like affordable housing. And like there's a lot to be said about affordable housing. It's not affordable who, I get it. I'm like, I'm with that. It's also that like New York City is so like cost prohibitive in a like it's not even real. So it's just like, creating your own problems. And then with like a group like with this crisis, like we never had infrastructure to have like, okay, we have 2,000 beds for any asylum seekers at any given time. Like we
Right.
don't, you know what I mean? We never even had that to then have a point in which to welcome people to provide relief to the southern states, but also to then say like we can't do it because then we just build more. And it's kind of just like a little bit of a strange thing. And I think the office, I've heard a little bit about like office to residential. I don't know. Everyone has a zillion reasons why not. It's too expensive to outfit them, the zoning, the this, and those are all real problems. But
Is
at
it
the same
though?
time,
If you think about the hotel cost and the shelter cost,
well, right.
it could be cut in half.
Yeah.
If we could save money for real things like hunger instead of
Yes.
thinking about homelessness. I'm just saying. To me, it's not a big zoning. I guess you go put the paperwork, change the zone. If you really want, get a big
Yeah.
cheese. You could change zoning. That's not a problem. That's not really the issue.
Yes.
The issue is that we could cut the money in half and probably save money in certain areas if we did
Yes.
other things better.
Yeah.
People out the shelter, they don't have to be in hotels anymore. If you take the old people who are there, move them out and put the new people in those spots.
Mm-hmm.
That's one way of making it. As I said, we make shelters all the time, make housing. That's what we need.
Mm-hmm.
And half people now don't even work right now. Well, I'm in office now, but most people are working at home.
Right.
So do you really need office space?
Right. No, I know. And you know what? Ultimately, what it would require is the people who can make these decisions and they would have to believe that the people in shelter deserve housing. And that to me
That's
is
true.
it's a race issue. You know, to believe that they are worth, even if you're not going to make a profit off of it, providing, you know, a stable home for.
It's sad. It's sad.
Yeah, it is. I know. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be, but like you know what I mean? Like that's a choice, right? Like you have to decide that no, these people, I can't believe it. They deserve housing. Like we have to do it. No, it doesn't matter. Like we have to do this. And you know, you don't get that sense of urgency from that perspective.
I feel like for certain jobs, they need to have life experience. And I feel like some people in these positions, they don't have real life. They have fairy tale life experience. They have the 1% life experience. That's not life experience.
Yes.
Life experience is cleaning people's toilets. That's life experience. Life experience is working at a deli. That's life experience. Working in a Target, in a Dairy Queen. That if you don't have those life experiences, I'm sorry. You should not be in some higher ups because you don't understand what it means to make literally $1 out of 15 cents. That's what life experience is about. And we have all these requirements. You should be this age to be the president. You need to be poor just a little bit, even for 10 months. I'm not asking for a full year. I'm asking for 10 months of being poor just a little bit so you can understand where the people are coming from that you are serving. And that's the problem.
Yeah, for sure. I just looked someone's salary up, like some banker guy, and it was like, I don't know why I looked it up, and I don't know why I'm shocked by it. But it was like $4 million annually. And I was like, and that's probably not even a lot for like people like this person. And I was like, okay.
I just want half. I don't want the whole thing. I really just want half for this year. Maybe
as like a one-time payment.
Right. Not in increments. No, I want it one time.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But Alissa, thank you so much for coming on and get us and gracing us with your presence. You gave us a lot of information. The talk that we had was great. I loved it. I miss you. I wish you came back to us, but it's okay. I understand.
I know.
Well, I hope you're enjoying what you are now and what you're doing with the youths and what's not. So yes.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I always love talking to you, and I hope to do more. And I'm like so happy to see you doing this. I am. I know. On just like a personal note, I'm just so happy to see you doing this. I mean, it's really like your thing. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So guys, thank you again for coming back to hear our voices. I hope you enjoyed the segment. I really hope you enjoy. If you have any tips and tricks that you want to give me or any questions that you would like to ask, you could definitely go to any of the platforms that I told you earlier, Facebook, YouTube. Everything will be down in the description below. All the platforms except Facebook, I do. That sounds weird, but I do myself personally. I'll see the messages. Lorden does the one, but 2 episodes ago, and who does Spanish podcast, she does the Facebook, because eventually mine's got hacked, so I don't have a Facebook account anymore. That's why I can't do it. But if you have any questions for me and you want to do it privately, definitely get me on there. If you even want to call me from the Hear Our Voices page, I will answer. So I'm always up 2, 3 in the morning. Majority, I'm trying to get better at that. Because the older you get, the more sleep you need. Trust me, like we're like babies at this point. But I'm always up to answer questions about shelter. I don't know that much, I feel like, about singles as much and about youth. I'm trying my best to learn more, but I know a lot about the family because I went through that myself. So I know the journey they can go. So if you have any questions or what you want to need, call me anytime, DM me anytime. I'm here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. See you
Thank
next
you.
time. Bye.
Bye.